Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jokima Hiller, and I am honored to host our Indiana University Northwest Small Business Academy Indiana Hospitality Industry Discussion Panel. This recording will be a part of our What is Hospitality video series. On our panel today, I have with me Benjamin Gibson. He is the front desk clerk at the Hampton Inn in Brownsburg, Indiana. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
I also have with me Gwen Hassey. She is the account executive for US Foods. Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Jokima.
I have with me Jill Woods. She is the dual director of sales for Aimbridge Hospitality. Hi, Jill.
Hello.
I also have with me today Lisa Islands, general manager of the Hampton Inn by Hilton. Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
I have with me Martin Green, director of human resources of the Sheraton Grand Chicago. Hi, Marty.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Jokino.
And I also have with me Yolanda Carmen Tilford. She is the general manager of the Country Inn and Suites by Radisson in Portage, Indiana.
Your old stomp.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you all so very much for being here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get started. What is hospitality? Ben, what do you say?
Well, to me, hospitality is making a guest feel at home and comfortable, all while tending to their needs within limits, of course.
Thank you. Gwen?
For me, it's that feeling. You can experience hospitality in all of our lines of work, but also at home. It's just that I'm at home, I'm comfortable, and I have what I need.
Thank you. Jill?
I think it's being ready for any situation that your guest may be having and being able to offer solutions while keeping in mind their comfort and making them feel welcome at the same time.
Lisa?
I think hospitality is making guests feel welcome as soon as they walk through the door. It's a feeling that they get immediately and kind of taking the temperature that they're welcome, feel at home and comfortable. And, we try to make their day every day.
Marty?
For sure, it is a situation where, you're trying to meet and exceed a guest's needs, be it at a hotel, restaurant, casino. But also creating those memorable moments so that that person would want to come back again and always remember the service that you provided to them.
Yolanda?
I think hospitality comes in so many different ways around the world. One of the things I think about all the time is the pineapple. Never quite understood it, but it was always given to new travelers back since the 1800s. I've used it at tons of our hospitality management companies, but I think it's making someone feel special while they're on their journey and making memorable moments for them. And that's Radisson's new thing, make memorable moments. So that's, to me, that's encompassing of it.
Thank you all. So what segments of the industry have each of you worked in before? And we'll start with Ben.
Hi again. Well, I've actually worked in both the restaurant industry and the hotel industry. I was a floating general manager for an extended stay for 9 years, but now I'm back to my beginning where I started at the front desk with the Hampton Inn.
Thank you. Gwen?
I too have worked in the restaurant industry. I started when I was 11. And then I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I taught hospitality education. I am currently in a sales position for a broadline supplier. And I've also done some event management as well.
Thank you. Jill?
And I also started in restaurants. That seems to be a common theme, and went into hotels in my early 20s, started on front desk, went into sales. Later, went into task force management, both in sales and operations, have been an AGM, a GM, and also a regional director of sales.
Lisa?
I also started in restaurants at a small deli back near Purdue. And from there, I started as a guest service agent in a hotel in Lafayette, Indiana. I've been an AGM of a full service property. I've also done task force general manager training for a large hospitality company. And lately, I've also done new builds, so new construction hotels as well, which is a whole different sector. And now I'm a general manager.
Marty,
I guess the bigger question is, what haven't I done almost at this stage of the game, right? So I started in retail, moved into restaurants. So I've had various different roles within hotels, country clubs, also roles in casino management. And I think the only position I've not done within a hotel is probably sales. So a pretty well-rounded career throughout.
Yolanda.
I too started in restaurants inside of a hotel. So that started the whole process. Even did audit, which you would think would have deterred me right away, but it didn't. I kept going, and I've done it. I think I have almost 30 years now, sales, front desk, housekeeping, valet even, and now I'm a GM. So I love this industry, and I think I've done just about it all now.
It sounds like it. We have definitely a wealth of experience and knowledge here on our panel today. So Yolanda, back to you. The hotel industry has been greatly impacted by the pandemic. You and your property in Portage, Indiana, have been surviving. What did it take to weather the storm? How have you weathered the storm?
First, let's just say, Portage, Indiana.
And can you turn your volume up just a little?
Oh, yeah. Here, where's that? In here. So, is that better? Okay. So, Portage, Indiana. Why here? I didn't see this coming, so it really taught me a lot too, just about our area and why it thrives. You really get that magnifying glass on it. But truly, Joaquin, you're right. All industries suffered, not just hospitality. So many did, and we're struggling and still struggling today. Corporate travel is still recovering, and that is something we realized very quickly, that luckily we picked up so much more leisure. I can't get over how much leisure travel has come to our area. We had to shift and pivot. We opened the pool before many hotels had even thought about doing it, but we did it safely. We did slot times. I created a grid, and we created, so there was still a lot of separation and social distancing. We ended up doing the breakfast. We opened that up before many others had, but we did it totally different than we ever did. We had an attendant serving the buffet. We had social distancing in the breakfast, but we still had to-go bags for people that didn't want to be in that environment. We also completed the safety classes. It was called SHG through Radisson. We did it as soon as they offered it up. We were one of the first hotels to complete it, to make sure that we were operating as safely and sanitized as we could. We realized we needed to take care of our team members, was kind of the biggest thing. A lot of people were afraid to come back. So especially in a hotel where you had travelers coming through. So we increased wages, gave bonuses, lots more incentives than we ever had before. We also took the time to renovate and update the hotel, which I'm so thankful for our owner that he took that time to do that. It made a huge impact.
Thank you. Jill, as a director of sales during the pandemic, you have achieved your hotel revenue goals. I saw all of those posts since the pandemic started. What one piece of advice would you give a salesperson who is still struggling in this pandemic?
Just to hold on. Sometimes the plans you put in place may not work right away. Maybe the timing's off a little bit, but it doesn't mean they're bad ideas or they're bad focuses. It's just a matter of timing. Some people would say our hotels were very lucky because we had sustainable business in when the pandemic hit, and that business just didn't leave. And it was a perfect mix. Sometimes you just have those things happen. But if you didn't, it was definitely a struggle for a lot of the hotels in the area that were more built on maybe the sports market or business travel that was short term. So when you're struggling with that and you don't have a solid mix in, just you have to keep prospecting and you have to keep trying, because eventually something will work. And talk with your coworkers and talk with other people in the industry to keep the lines of communication open, because sometimes they have some great ideas or referrals for you, and you want to make sure those relationships are good.
Thank you. As a hospitality industry veteran, and I'm speaking to Gwen and Marty, what is your outlook on the future of the hospitality industry as we try to come out of this pandemic? Gwen?
I'm very excited to see all the posts from restaurants, hotels on social media about how well business is starting to come back. I think overall, the hospitality has changed. We are looking at it differently. We have to staff differently. We have to still think about those things that, even though coronavirus is starting to decline, people still may be worried. There are still people who have left and gone to other industries. So finding those ways to be creative with staffing, but also to make that hospitality for your customer is so, so important.
Thank you. Marty?
I forgot for a minute how tough it was to talk after Gwen. Sorry, Gwen. No, I agree. Being downtown Chicago, I often reference when the pandemic hit, it was like Gotham. I mean, it was dark and dreary. It could be a sunny day, but there was no business. There were, nobody walking around the river or where my hotel's located across the bridges. So I do have energy, kind of like Gwen does as well, because I think the passion for this business, that it is coming back. In group travel, it is slow. I think a lot of corporate businesses still trying to figure out what they want to do, what destinations they can go to. And again, being in the city of Chicago, it's a lot tougher to attract kind of that corporate business now to come on back, and that it is a safe environment. So, but it is a positive trend moving upwards. Our hotel's very closely linked to the president of IHLA, and how do we make things work with the mayor's office, with local government, with local, even charities. As we get back to moving, how do we work with the local communities to kind of get that driven again? How do we build up that excitement? The city of Chicago has no shortage of room nights. I think there's another 3 or 4 hotels slotted even open in the city this year. So, but that's a good positive marking of an upward trend, that the business pent up. Then we have a lot of transient. Our hotel is an 80-20 mix pre-pandemic, and now you're kind of flipped. So it has changed, to Gwen's comment as well. How we recruit for roles, how do we look for roles? And I know it's a future question that's going to come up, but how do we look at service in a different way? How do we get to that point where we now look at a transient guest the same we might have looked at as a business guest, and again, creating these moments where they want to come back and choose us rather than one of the many competitors that we have in the city.
Thank you. And Marty mentioned the IHLA, and I just want to make sure that we explain who that is. And for you, you're working in Chicago, so that would be the Illinois Hotel and Lodging Association. But our folks that are currently working in Indiana, it is the Indiana Hotel and Lodging Association as well. And then we have all of those organizations roll up to the American Hotel and Lodging Association. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, Ben, there are many pathways to success in the hospitality industry. And I know that your pathway has included both education and experience. Tell us about the path that you have taken. Where did you begin, and how did you get where you are today?
Well, the path I took was not one I planned on. During the craze of the Food Network, I was really into cooking and thought that's what I wanted to do. So I went to culinary school with the intent of being a chef and maybe owning my own restaurant. But while I was there, I decided to continue my education and get the bachelor's in hotel restaurant management. And that's when I fell in love with the industry. There was a very short stint. I tried something different. I did try managing a movie theater, but I quickly realized it just wasn't for me. My passion was in hotels. So I went back to the hotels, and I'm so much happier now that I did.
Thank you. Gwen, tell us about some of the industry certifications that you hold, and then let us know, have they helped, or have they helped a little or a lot?
So because of my my career path being mostly restaurant driven, I obviously have a ServSafe certification, but I'm also a proctor and an instructor, so I can teach other people and get them certified as well. I was certified as a hospitality educator through the American Hotel Association. Unfortunately, I did let that lapse, but that was a fantastic course to go through. I'm a level 1 sommelier, and I can also teach the alcohol classes that are required in Indiana.
Do you think there is a certification that's missing right now in the industry or in Indiana that you haven't seen offered just yet?
I think overall in our industry, I think there needs to be more technology driven certifications. A lot of, because, and I think in all of our professions, we use a lot of the Microsoft suites. Believe me, I'm doing some VLOOKUPs every day. So teaching them those extra skills to help them move forward faster.
Thank you. So what has been your best day in the hospitality industry thus far? And tell us, why was it your best day? Ben?
Well, every time a guest appreciates something I do and tells me, it really makes me feel good. That's what drives me. But I would honestly have to say it was recently, and it was the first day I came back to the Hampton Inn after doing my stint at the movie theater, and the gratitude that everybody showed me and appreciated me. It melted my heart. It was such a wonderful experience that I knew I was that appreciated there when I came back.
Beautiful. Gwen?
It's kind of twofold. So for the educator part, honestly, it was the day that you hired me to work with you.
The check is in the mail for that one.
Thank you so much. I so much enjoyed our time together and working through the curriculum and, working with students and then seeing them graduate. There was nothing better than that. But then also, just like Ben had said, just that every day working with my customers now and seeing them coming out of this as well, and just helping them move forward, and just their genuine thank you. That's all I need.
Thank you. Jill?
You're kind of involved in this one too. There was kind of two moments. I think when we decided to write together and publish, that was a huge goal of mine that I'd kind of put out, of my mind, and then all of a sudden it happened, and that was like wonderful. And then the new job I got after that as a director of sales, getting back in with a large company and going to the first conference for them. And they actually recognized me for that. And it was in a huge room, and it was unexpected. And there's hundreds of people that don't even know me, and getting some recognition for that goal. It was a little bit surprising because it was such an internal goal for me, but to get recognized, still sticks in my mind as one of the best days.
Great, thank you. Lisa?
Well, it's a bit of a story, so I'll make it very quick. I kind of growing up, I always wanted to work at a Marriott hotel. And, so I finally was able to achieve that goal after I finished school. And I was working at a Marriott property, and I had an opportunity to go to the conference. It was down in Orlando, and I was super excited to go to my first conference that I'd heard, everybody's there. You're going to learn so much and make connections and that kind of thing. And so one day after the meetings, I was just kind of walking around the property, and I see a group of people kind of hovering around this particular person. And I'm like, who's that? It kind of piqued my interest. Well, I looked closely and it was Mr. Marriott. And I was like starstruck, you know what I mean? So I had an opportunity, long story short, I had an opportunity to introduce myself to him personally, shake his hand. He gave me a hug, and I was able to tell him that I was just a girl from Gary, Indiana, that always wanted to run a Marriott property. And he told me, "Thank you for your service." I knew at that point that I was in the right business.
That is so sweet. Thank you. Marty.
First, Elisa, what a great story. Because Mr. Merrick,
It is.
a true champion of this industry,
Yes.
and I've gotten to say hello. I never got a hug, but with David and everybody else. But yeah, no, that's a wonderful story for me, Jokima. Honestly, I haven't been doing this for almost 30 years now. It's working with my associates at wherever I've been. They are in much more difficult situations than I could probably ever comprehend at times, and to be there for them and to be that support system, be it for them or their families. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we've lost a couple associates, and how to work with those families, but also how to work with my other associates, and how that makes them feel. And as we're trying to get through the day, we're a couple people shy, and it's a big impact. So it's any day I get a smile from one of my associates, if it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, going to get coffee from the Starbucks and just talking to the ladies down there. It's any internal guest, what I consider, my associate interaction, that's the best days ever.
Great. Thank you. Yolanda.
My many, many years of working with you.
I'm going to be broke after this.
And we've had some amazing times, like the beautiful, and taking care of the employees, I think honestly is one of my most favorite. But when we had the awards little fancy dinner with the harpist,
Yes.
come on, that was amazing. But I'm still waiting for the perfect day, the one where all the staff show up, guests are all happy, nothing malfunctions in maintenance. I only get sales calls for my soft days that I get booked. And that hasn't quite happened yet, but I am very hopeful. But I think anytime when I get to see the guests and I see that my team has just hit it out of the ballpark, and even when they're sending us cards to thank us for their stay, like taking that time to write a card these days, right, and mail it and get it to us, like that's one of the best moments. And I've gotten quite a few here. I'm pretty, impressed with my team for that, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Lisa, you are a Gary, Indiana native. What would you want other young people from Gary, Indiana to know about the hospitality industry?
Well, it's complicated because a lot of times the stereotypes that come from individuals from Gary, Indiana is negative. And so we're already starting kind of behind the mark when we go out into the workforce and look for positions. Not everyone here goes to college. Not everyone has that career path. There's not always a lot of opportunity simply because we don't have hotels in the city of Gary. However, what I've found is that because the hospitality industry focuses on personalities and experiences, we're the perfect fit for a hotel and restaurant. I encourage the youth to be themselves. And that's exactly what we're looking for, is for you to bring your personality to work with you every day. Also letting them know that you don't have to go to college to work in a hotel and build your career. A lot of us on the panel, we've done that. However, we have all success stories of people who never worked in a hotel before, straight out of high school. They start off in housekeeping, for example, and work their way up to general manager status. So, I just want the youth to know that we're in a tourism spot here in Gary, being on the lake, being close to Chicago. We recently just built a new casino, and so tourism is booming here, even though people don't realize it. Hard Rock took the name Gary off of their moniker, unfortunately, and put Northern Indiana, but it sits in Gary. So I want the youth to know that this is a good career path, and you can build a life for yourself in hospitality, be it restaurants, hotels, or other tourism avenues, and make a lucrative career for your family.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. So Marty, in your experience, what has been a top challenge for the hospitality industry as a whole?
I'll use current day as the best challenge right now. And it's thinking outside the box, be it for sales, for recruiting, for everything. I think now is the most challenging time, in certain markets, but how do we think outside the box, and how do we look for those people? Kind of to Lisa's point, how do we find those passionate people regardless of what their education status would be or whatever? Like, we don't have to look to universities. We need to look at a broader scope. And can we teach the skill? Absolutely. Because to Lisa's point, the only thing I can't teach other than physics and chemistry is how to smile. So if you can smile, we got this. I mean, I can teach someone to check somebody in. I could teach someone how to clean a room and all those great things. But it's how do we think outside that box, and how do we get people and then to grow in their careers, kind of like a lot of our career paths. How do we now try to fast pace it? Before there was a stigma that I had to do multiple steps to get to GM spot or multiple steps to get to be a leader. I think we need, again, to think outside of ourselves and understand if somebody, the good qualities of a leader, the good qualities of a person, let's just take the risk. And, at our hotel, just as an example, that's what we've done because we have to. It's a highly competitive market. Unfortunately, the pandemic has shown that our skills are really transferable. Hospitality skills are extremely transferable, unfortunately, for some things that we've experienced this year. But again, it's all of us kind of sitting in a room and thinking outside the box. Why get good people in here that love this industry and could convey that to our guests and kind of drive it forward. So as just a small one and a quick snippet of time, I think recruiting outside the box and thinking of, for sales and those things, that's our biggest challenge right now.
Sure. Thank you. Yolanda and Jill, this one is for you. I know that you two personally have dealt with employee challenges in your hospitality career. Tell us about one of those unique challenges and how it was handled.
I try to, now that I'm in sales, I really try not to be as involved in those situations, simply because kind of like once you dive into it, you're into it, right? So I think when I was a GM, I definitely have the most varied and challenging situations with employees. And a lot of it came down to our job with them was maybe the first time they got lessons in how to behave in public and how to talk to people. It seemed like there was a lot of times where people would say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing in front of people, and you could tell that was more their upbringing and not on purpose. And it's a very touchy subject, but trying to explain, why they're not doing the job well and having them respond back to you and go, this is what I know. And was the most difficult thing, I think, without getting too specific, of knowing that someone's circumstances growing up was what was leading to these errors with guests and what to do. So it was challenging to kind of have them see from the guest perspective how their behavior was affecting them and do it in a way that they weren't offended by it, but were willing to learn. And that was a challenge with a lot of the employees. Just certain markets have certain challenges, and that was a big one. And again, you have to do it in a way where you're still welcoming and trying to make them see that you're trying to help them. But it doesn't always end up that way. And sometimes they're
Sure.
just not, they're not ready for the industry yet.
Thank you. Yolanda?
Staffing. I mean, it is in the forefront right now. It is like, while we've been successful, staffing and getting the right staff and just getting staff has been by far the most challenging it's ever been in my entire 30 years of doing this. I've never seen anything like it. As a matter of fact, this morning I was supposed to have Patricia start and she's not here. So,
Oh,
and seems so eager for the position. It's in the interview. It's just, it's baffling right now. But through it, a lot of young people, as Jill mentioned, I've got so many new to this industry entirely. That's who I'm bringing on right now. They've never done this ever, but they come in the door and kind of how Martin said, you got to smile. You've got that personality for it. I can nurture that. That's what I have to figure out, is how to make the new ones successful at this industry that they've never done before in their lives. So finding the right employees that understand what it means to go above and beyond for our guests. I mean, that's the ideal situation, but I think more so is finding the people that just care about other people's situations. When it's raining outside, to think to grab a towel to give them when they come to the front desk, you know, like just not just being like, oh, it's raining out there, huh? You know, like, yeah, it is, you see me? But I think too, keeping my leadership team motivated so that they're setting the example and resetting the staff on a consistent basis. You know, keeping them energized is, it's all encompassing, right? It's tough, but we're making it work.
great. Thank you both for that. Gwen, you know, I would say that the restaurant sector in our industry has been an anchor. It's really held us down as an industry as a whole. Not just as a whole, but also here in Indiana and specifically in Northwest Indiana. Why? Why are restaurants so important to the hospitality industry?
I think it starts with some of our first memories. Our first memories are around food. I mean, we can all think about some of our favorite meals that we've had with family during holidays, and when we want to celebrate, whatever it be, an anniversary, a birthday, whatever it may be, we automatically think of food and going to our favorite restaurant or something like that. It's also a great way for somebody who is, you know, young and looking to get into the hospitality industry and thinking, you know, hey, I want to work a few days, and it's a great way for them to learn those people skills, whether that can take them even farther. You can work in a restaurant and become the president of the United States. It's those people skills that will help you move forward in life.
Great. Thank you. Lisa, Jill, what wakes you up in the morning and excites you about going to work in the hospitality industry? Lisa?
I'm still here for the people. So, you know, if I call it internal customer service, where I take care of my employees. You know, I make sure that they are well fed in the morning for breakfast. I make sure that they have snacks during the day. I make sure they have Gatorade and waters. And, you know, it's those small things that make them happy. And I will ask them, you know, what else can I do to make you happy? And I listen, you know, so for me, if I can make sure my employees are taken care of, I don't have to worry about my guests. My guests are going to be taken well care of as well. But I wake up every day and I'm still here for the people after 15 years in the business.
Thank you. Jill?
Coffee gets me up in the morning. I think it's still the excitement of not knowing exactly what is going to happen that day. I can plan and plan and plan and have the most time efficient day on my calendar, only to walk in and have it totally change. I mean, and while there's a little bit of grumbling about that totally changing, sometimes it's changes for the good, or it's sometimes unexpected pieces of business that I need to drop everything for. That just the not knowing for sure is still very exciting about our business. That won't change, I don't think, ever.
Great, thank you. Okay, this one is for everyone. So tell me, when did you know you had fallen in love with the hospitality industry? Ben, you want to take that first?
Absolutely. Honestly, it was probably day one when I started at the Hampton Inn with Jill. I believe everybody has a certain personality, and every personality is kind of meant and destined for certain career paths. I mean, you have to have a certain personality to be a policeman, an attorney, a politician, and it takes a very outgoing personality to be in the hospitality industry. And it took me 33 years before I finally started at the Hampton to realize that's where my personality fits. And it was honestly day one at the Hampton Inn.
That's sweet. Gwen, when did you know?
I was in high school. Like Jill had just said, there is nothing better for me than the thrill of the day. Believe me, I'm super organized and I love lists and I love all that. But there's just that adrenaline for every day, especially in the restaurant industry. You know, okay, let's gonna see what's happened today. And it's just fun and it's exciting.
Thank you. Jill.
I think it sounds weird, but probably the first time I got yelled at on a Sunday morning by guests checking out. And I didn't cry in front of them, but I excused myself, went to the bathroom and cried, and basically determined whether I was going to go home or if I was going to get behind that desk. And when I figured out that I could, wipe off my face and go back out there, I knew it was for me. It was a tremendous challenge, but I got better at dealing with guests being unhappy and better at trying to fix the situation. But as a rookie, that was kind of my first little baptism into it to see if I would stick. And I did it. I'm crazy, but I.
Thank you. Lisa.
Well, back in 2007 at one of my first hotels, it was a Homewood Suites. And, Homewood Suites has a really good reputation for going above and beyond for the guests. I had a guest named Rosara Cepeda. I'll never forget her name. She said that she could only drink a certain lemonade with her medicine. Now, I didn't understand that because I'm like, just drink water or drink soda or, something else. But she came to me and she said, I can only take this medicine with a certain lemonade. So I was like, well, we don't have that lemonade here. And after offering her several options, she was really upset and frustrated with me over the lemonade. So I went to my general manager at that time and I said, what can I do to fix this? I don't know how to fix this situation. And we got on the phone, called a couple different stores to see if we could locate the lemonade, and we couldn't. So I reached out to my sister who lived in Indianapolis, which was about 45 minutes away from where I was at, and we found the lemonade. So my GM gave me petty cash money and allowed me to drive to Indianapolis to get the lemonade. And when I brought it back, my guest was elated and she started crying. That let me know like that's what this is about. That's what I'm here for, is to take care of every single need of every single guest. And it made me feel really special that I was able to take care of her. And then I also appreciated my GM for letting me do something like that instead of just saying, she could have just said no.
Sure.
So yeah, that's when I fell in love with it, knowing that I could make somebody's day in that impactful way.
Right. Thank you. Marty?
I would have to say a very odd one, but for sure I was an omelet cook, helping out, serving some guests, and my guest was Howie Mandel and his wife and his brother. And I kind of just thought to myself, that's pretty sweet. I just got to make it. It was a very odd order. for Northwest Indiana, being egg whites and avocado in the middle of the winter. But
Sure.
hey, you know what? Kind of like to everybody else's point, we made it happen. We did have the materials, but yeah, no, and that was that cool moment of like, wow, this does impact some people. It's really kind of neat. But on the side of that, also like, wow, that was really good. I've never had an omelet that good. And being the age I was like, yep, you're right. You never will again. Come again.
Awesome. Yolanda.
Have to go back a little bit. It's funny, Radisson Star Plaza in Maryville.
Yes,
Working in accounting in the theater, and I also met Howie Mandel there.
I did
I
too.
was going to the restroom. Super awkward, but very cool.
I handled his contract writer, so I know some things.
No. The inside of him. That's awesome. And Jill, as far as being yelled at, I had a podcast thrown at me at the front desk of the Radisson Hotel Star Plaza. Crazy things happen at the Radisson. Definitely miss that property. But I came back too. And, you know, and it's funny because the support you get from the other guests that seen that happen, oh my gosh, how uplifting is that? They're just like, are you okay? That
Sure.
was called for, you know, that whole thing, but it's a good support system. As a kid, I have amazing memories of my dad taking us to all kinds of different hotels, from low, mid-scale to high-end, beautiful hotels all over the US. And I love that feeling, walking into a hotel and get to experience all the things they have to offer. Even the roadways at Wisconsin Dells, this little motel, you know, my dad used to take me to. The Mayflower Inn. I still remember these names. I don't even know if it's there anymore, but I'll never forget those. I think his passion for traveling just obviously just rubbed off, and I can't get enough. I got into this industry so that I could travel, and that was one of my biggest things, and I've done quite a lot. Not as much as you, Joaquima, Paris, but anyhow, I digress. The Opryland Hotel in Tennessee. Gosh, go one time. It's beautiful. And that kind of hotel check-in, I think they had 4 front desks. Like I said, this is it. And I even still say, one day I think I'll work there, but it's finding that kind of experience and knowing that I want to give that experience. I want to be on the other side of it. So that hook, line, and sinker was in. Yeah, for sure. That's where I fell in love.
I think I used to say, I want to be a part of the magic making. I want to make magic. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marty, advice for someone interested in making a career change and coming to work in the hospitality industry. What advice would you give them if they, you know, went down one track and realized that maybe I should try hospitality?
Get ready to have some fun. You know, we often say coming through all of this, you know, we work while other people play, but we have fun, you know, and have an open mind. Kind of the Jill's point, sometimes we have to have a little bit of a thicker skin, but it's all about fun, and it's about creating these moments for our guests, and what an uplifting, you know, memorable moment you could have for yourself and working with your teams. And because like we say at every orientation I give, we're with our teams more than we're probably with our families most times. And so this is our family, you know, and who doesn't want to be here and say good morning or good afternoon, how's it going, how's your family? So it is that tight kind of grouping, you know. If you'd ever played sports, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, here's my team environment, and that we will go to battle together and be together throughout this whole process. So yeah, so I think that's it. You know, let's have a lot of fun, but at the same time, you know, everybody has a need, and right now it's their needs, but we will fulfill our own. You know, the clock gets punched, and we'll have a good time. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I think, again, keeping an open mind to what this industry can be for yourself and for everyone.
Thank you. So Ben, a few folks have mentioned this thing called transferable skills. So what skills do you gain working in the hospitality industry that are transferable across all segments? You mentioned working for a movie theater. What skills does it take that we learn here in hospitality industry that can be used across all segments and sectors?
Well, of course, there's technology, a lot of computer use, a lot of Word, but it's the hospitality called the hospitality industry for a reason. I mean, just learning that hospitality and being friendly and kind makes everybody feel better. And when I went to that movie theater, you still have to interact with guests, and bringing that upbeat personality, they love it. Everybody loves, everybody loves someone with a smile. And like Gwen said earlier, if you learn those people skills, you can take that to be president of the United States, which he could probably use. But I definitely people skills and just being kind can transfer anywhere. And it's the best skill you can take with you from this industry.
Thank you. Okay, Yolanda and Lisa, what advice would you give someone currently working in the hospitality industry who is thinking that they might be ready to become a manager? Yolanda?
Oh, sure. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're already striving in it. You know, like if you're already doing this, you kind of know whether you already have that niche and you're good at it and you have that passion for it. I think doing what you can each day to make that positive impact on guests, if you, if you thrive on that, then you really should look at it as your future career. If you find it challenging and enjoyable at the same time while doing everything you can to turn an upset guest into now a thankful guest, and then possibly even a lifetime guest, because everything that you said and did, that's such a great feeling. I think if you already have that, you should go for it. You should try to take that into a leadership role. And if you already have that natural talent, teach that to others so they can now maybe possibly do that. It's okay. So I got to go into this little, I don't like the word, but I'm going to say it anyway. But if you like the challenge of juggling 5 things at the same time and not missing a beat in the end, it's for you. It does bring a quote on a t-shirt to mind. I saw on Facebook. It said, being a hotel manager is easy. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire. Everything is on fire and you're in hell.
Everything is on fire.
Everything is on fire. Now, I will say it.
Sometimes literally.
Right. Or waterfalls going.
Correct. Oh, let's not talk about leaks.
No. But I will say, I think anybody who can take on all of that craziness at the end of the day, like Martin said, it's like you're like a sports team and you guys get through it and you figure out a way to get through it to the end and make everybody happy. Well, then you probably should choose this as your career. Absolutely. You like a little chaos in your life with some organization.
Lisa?
Well, I too work for Ambridge Hospitality, actually, Jill. So nice to know a fellow associate. We have an apprenticeship program that is amazing. And so the first step is really to let your general manager know that you're interested. A lot of times people have the dream of moving up the ladder, but they don't tell anyone. They are waiting for you to come to them and say, hey, I've got this opportunity, or hey, I've got this program. But I would say my advice would be, if you're interested in moving up the ladder, let your general manager know that, so that they can look at maybe an apprenticeship program for you or a job shadowing a couple days for you. The other part of that is working in multiple departments. You don't have to clock into another department to go and help inspect rooms today, or help come in early to do breakfast. I work in a limited service property, so it's easy to help in all the departments, and your general manager will notice that you're trying to do that. But again, it just goes back to letting somebody know that that's what you're interested in and finding a program that'll help you succeed in moving up.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the one characteristic of the hospitality industry that is difficult to explain to others outside of the industry is just how labor intensive our industry is. I think it was already mentioned that we work when others are having fun. So how would you explain this to a new hospitality industry business owner who thought it might be cool to own a restaurant or hotel, and now he or she is reviewing their financials and they're looking at their labor expense? What would you tell them? How would you explain that, that's how we do business? We'll start with Ben. What do you think? Oh, I'm sorry, Gwen.
Whew, is it labor intensive? Oh my goodness. Yes. And especially for somebody who's coming outside of the industry and starting their own business in the hospitality field, it's a third of your P&L. On a good P&L, it is a third of your P&L. And especially now being so short-staffed, it's probably more because of all the overtime. So be prepared for that. When I was in a previous position and I would do presentations for customers, I would hold up a dollar bill and I'd be like, hey, do you know how much of this dollar bill is actually profit in the restaurant industry? And then I would, hey, tell me. And it was super interesting when they would bring their hourly employees with, because they're like, oh, 75 cents, 50 cents. I'm like, and people who had been in the industry for a while, like, oh, 20, 15. And I would hold up 3 cents and I go, a well-run restaurant, the profit is 3 cents. So you have to love it. You want to love the hospitality and working with the customers and your employees, and just say, it's going to be rough for a couple of years, but what you get from it is so much better.
Thank you. And everyone, Gwen mentioned P&L, and I just want to make sure that we know that stands for profit and loss statement. It's a financial statement that we use in the hospitality industry. Jill, anything to add to that?
No, it's a good thing to get familiar with, whether you're in operations or sales. Most of us have to explain every month in a end of month document of what happened that month and why. So if you came in under budget on revenues, you need to explain why. If you were over, you also need to explain why, because if you're over on your revenues, you're going to be over on your labor. And just to understand the different, once you see that report and you have to fill it out, you know how important it is to take notes of what's going on in the market and why are you spending extra on labor, because they want to know that stuff and they don't. And you're right, acronyms, you can't have that in an owner's meeting. You have to say what each convention is. You cannot shorten it. They want to know what is behind everything. And you have to put it in terms they understand, because they're not in the hotel day to day like you are.
Sure. Marty, anything to add to that?
The only other thing I could really kind of get into all that is just get ready to get dirty. And a lot of times I'm a very open, honest, but very welcoming individual with my owners. You're more than welcome to kind of come up, check out the team. I always invited them to come to pre-shift meetings, come to department meetings, and let's really talk about what this is and what your impact as an owner is. And I've been blessed with some very good owners. I've had a few bad ones too, but I've been very blessed with a lot of my owners, and that's a big part of it. Just be ready and understand that, yes, we are a huge portion of the P&L. In HR, I'm a cost center, but without that, you don't have guests. Without the guests, you don't have any. So it's a very, synchronous kind of system. But get ready to get dirty, because that's what it's going to take.
Sure. Okay, so how can someone find out if the hospitality industry is for them? Ben?
Try it. I mean, we're in the perfect time right now. Everybody needs someone to work. Everybody's hiring. There is a job waiting for you. Try it. Get out there, get a front desk position, become a server, work for a car rental company, and just see if you like it. Now, I mean, if you are an anti-people person, maybe you should think of the back of the house. But I mean, it's a wonderful time to try the industry right now because it's so easy to find an open position. Everybody needs workers right now. So yeah, definitely. Please try it because we want you.
Sure. Gwen?
Kind of following up with what Ben said, but take that opportunity and talk to people in the industry. And not just, just this panel alone is a wide breadth of the industry. Talk to, people who are newer to the industry veterans. Find out things that are new and up and coming. When I was in high school, nobody had ever heard of a food scientist. But now I'm like, oh gosh, that would have been the best career ever. But, go out and talk to people and talk to people who know you, who literally know you so well, and say, hey, I'm thinking about the hospitality industry, because they'll tell you, hey, maybe look at this part or this part. It's a great way for feedback from somebody who knows you well.
Sure. Jill?
Serving. I mean, if you can't serve people and have the attitude to do it every day, you just won't make it in this industry. Even, what Ben said, back of the house positions, you still have to want to serve people. And that, if you can't do it, if you don't have the patience, it's going to be a very frustrating experiment for you.
Lisa?
I think that, trying it is going to be the best way to go, even from retail management to restaurants to, every industry, there is some part of service that you have to give. And if that's something that is interesting to you or something that you thrive with, then I think the hotel industry is just a really good avenue to try. And, to Ben's point, now is the time. We need people, and we need people with hearts. We need people with sound mind and good hearts, basically, to can teach you the business. We can teach you everything you need to know. We just need your wonderful personality, your smile, and a positive attitude. So come on and try it.
Beautiful. Marty?
It's hard to come up with stuff now that everyone's kind of gone, but just take that moment of self-reflection, take a deep breath. And if you, for a second, can't handle a stressful moment, or you can't handle an irrational individual, you're, like Jill said, you're gonna have a tough time. And then from a self-reflection standpoint, how do you act when you go out to eat or when you utilize a hotel room, and how do you do these things? Because I cannot tell you how many housekeepers have come to my office and in tears and have said, I will never act like that at a family reunion again. I will never take that for granted again. And I think it's a true, I've said it for years. I know Joe Kim and I've talked about this. We need a reality TV show to show people really, really what this is like. And I just think everyone just take a deep breath. We're going to have a good time, but you have to have that moment of clarity to know that this isn't easy, but nothing's easy. And that's why it's a challenge. And that's why we do it. So.
Thank you. Yolanda?
I love the way I started this industry, which was working my way up through the ranks. I recommend it to so many people, even if you I don't know. I mean, yes, you should always be shooting for the stars, but I feel like you can't get that full picture if you haven't done it before, right? So it's good, do housekeeping, even if there's no opening at the front desk. I mean, I wanted to be in sales, but I took a job as a night auditor, and I am ever so thankful that I did that, because it helped me be a better GM at the end of the day, So I think if you're already thinking about it, just jump in with both feet, whatever their opportunity is there. But as many have said before me, now is the time, because my gosh, there is endless opportunities right now. I have made a hotelier out of so many new people, and as I call them, the first timer club. But I'm proud to say that a lot of those people have now taken positions. They started off as a bellman, a front desk agent. I mean, all kinds of, but they are running beautiful hotels in downtown Chicago that I hope to be able to stay at and have them, you know, show me everything they've learned. The Langham, for instance, I'm dying to go to the Langham. I mean, how cool is that, that they worked their way up to that? Such a beautiful, amazing hotel. So definitely it's one of those, just jump right in, both feet.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Ben, Yolanda, Marty, Lisa, Jill, Gwen. Thank you all so very much for being a part of perhaps the first of many Indiana University Northwest Small Business Academy Indiana Hospitality Industry discussion panels. Thank you all so very much. And I hope our viewers that they really learned something from today. Thank you.
Joe, I'm sorry, Joe Kima, real quick. I want to thank you for taking this opportunity, actually putting this together as well, because without individuals that have that type of passion, that's where I struggle in the sense of fearfulness of what will happen, that a group of us will just stop. And this is, again, a true testament of your passion in doing this. So I want to thank you for putting this all together with all of us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Joaquima.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.